Welcome to episode 11 of the Isuzu Ute A-League download, the last one of 2024. Just think what we have contributed to the global, to the world. I mean, let's go big here, I think. This is episode 11. We're still on air. Archie Thompson, Thomas Sorensen. That's your name. You've been away for so long. I've forgotten it. This is the A-team. Yeah, take that, Sekalovsky. I'm just rude to the person who isn't here. Happy New Year. You went back home. How was it?
It was good. Didn't get the snow that I was hoping for, but we had the darkness, the greyness, the short days, the excitement.
What Christmas is all about.
It is, but I'm happy to be back in the sunshine, I must say.
Welcome back, Archie.
Hey, mate.
Happy?
Yes, very good.
Good. Let's look at the results, shall we? So this is what happened. Good win for Western Sydney. Adelaide, don't know how they came back, to be perfectly honest, but they did. MacArthur had 3 shots. They won 3-0 at Perth. How's your luck, Perth? They weren't disastrous in this game. Wellington Phoenix beat Newcastle Jets 2-1. The wheels are back on after they came off for Auckland. A big win at Central Coast. Sydney FC winning the Big Blue. I'm learning the lingo against Melbourne victory. A controversial red card in that. We'll get to that. And then we'll have a moment's silence for Western United 1, Brisbane Raw 0. Not the greatest football match I've ever seen. Let's start the Allianz then, chaps. We should start with the red card, right? I know that Sydney got off to a flyer, right? And Joe Lolley, we'll get on to Joe Lolley because I think it's a really interesting story. But Zinedine Mashash, the red card. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I think when you initially see it, for me, that's a red card. But the more you look at it, I think, you can see that he steps on the ball and then his foot sort of slides off. So it's not an intentional, referee says, it's excessive force. And I don't think it is. I think that's where, when you get the angles, you got to give the player the benefit of the doubt in that respect. But... it just seems to be a trend that, if the foot goes over the ball and you hit the angle, then it's a red card. But, I actually feel a bit sorry for him. I don't know, like you're closer to it, but, I think he's unlucky there.
I think so too, because like you said, his foot was on the ball and it just rolled over. And the referee did say that it was dangerous contact or whatever. It was above the ankle, but I don't think it actually looks like it's above the ankle because I think it's Courtney Perkins' foot's planted and then he's rolled off the ball and it's kind of just hit him on the foot. And there was no real sort of menace in the challenge. Yellow card, fair enough, let's move on. But then again, I think VAR step in when it doesn't need to happen. And then you had the opportunity from the referee to go, okay, maybe it's like... I see where you're going, but I still like the decision of the yellow card. 15 minutes in, big match.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Those two things are irrelevant. Doesn't matter. It's a big game. Doesn't matter what time of the game is. No. There is a world where you can be unlucky and give away a red card. And actually, there are other moments in games now where a defender makes a clearance and then comes through. Clears the ball, but he's high and he takes out a player. And 20 years ago, you go, well, you've got the ball. Doesn't matter where your legs go. But actually, you're in possession of your legs, right? And you're in control of your legs. And so sometimes perhaps you have to make a decision, which is, there is a risk if I do this. There's a risk if Mashash does that, right? Yeah, I know what you mean. I think he's really unlucky, but I can see by the letter of the law why it is a red card.
You can see that in all sports now. It gets harder and harder for people to make actions. Like I said, defenders to do tackles. Like these things will end up going out of the game because you have to do the defensive action. It's the same as a goalkeeper. Like sometimes you have to dive head first into and it's hard to then predict what happens next. Like you focus on your action. And sometimes I feel you should be able to if you can see the full intent and you play the ball. If you then slide through and hit someone, that's part of the game in some way.
Yeah, and Mashash does flirt a little bit on that side of, walking a fine line of maybe I shouldn't do that and maybe I should do this because we've seen in the past where he's he's got red cards and really flirted with red cards in some of the actions he does, because he has that aggression, and sometimes maybe he could probably think.
You're making him sound like a maniac now. You shouldn't be his defence barrister here.
He shouldn't be out there.
Representing some of the English as Archie Thompson.
Yeah,
But he does have a history of being a violent psychopath. But in this
That's what we
situation,
want,
Your
though.
Honour,
We want that aggression.
Yeah.
We want to see passion and I've got no problem with playing on the line.
Yeah. But like I said, don't use me as a lawyer, because you could come in with a parking ticket and you could do time if you have me or some hard time. But look, I think with Mishash, he does flirt. But from a Melbourne Victory point of view, probably disappointing, and a fan that goes and watches that game to see that happen, because that first 15 minutes, I was like, oh, we are on here, because it was boom, 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 early goal from Sydney FC, and then it would probably open up. After that, Sydney get the second one, and it's tough going for Melbourne Victory after that.
Yeah, it's worth talking about Douglas Costa, right? Because
yeah.
Just that move. We saw it in the last game as well. He just takes a little. I mean, he did one bit of showboating that was ridiculous, but the fact that he can be one-on-one with a defender and he can just create enough space for himself, nothing fancy, just a little jink, and then he got space on his left foot to put in. I mean, the cross for, was it the second, is so good. And we saw that last week as well.
Yeah, he's got that quality. That's what we, were hoping for and expecting to some extent. It'll be interesting to see what, obviously with the hamstring injury, if it's anything serious, you don't hope so. But yeah, he's been a bright light, I think. And you've talked about taxi drivers. He's certainly not one. So that's good. And again, he's one of them. He can bring that bit of quality.
But there's no guarantee when someone comes with a great CV. Like, your CV is sort of the beauty of football, is that reputation counts for nothing.
And some of the clubs he's been at, it has been a little bit like that, where he sort of hasn't really lived up to the expectations. But I feel that Sydney will look at his output and think, we got what we'd hoped for up to this point.
And Joe Lolley, I think it's interesting. I was looking at Joe Lolley's sort of career and thinking, when he left Nottingham Forest, he would have had loads of offers, to stay in the UK, to stay, championship level, whatever. There are some players that come from the UK that you go, okay, this is sort of like, oh, you've come just to have a bit of sun and have a nice time. But he's made a real life choice there. Yeah. And he is a really talented player.
Yeah, he's incredible. I think Sydney FC, when they do attract, I think of Lafondra. When he came, he was so exciting for Sydney FC, and he scored loads of goals. And you probably would say that he could easily have just stayed a longer I think he was in the championship at the time. But I guess
he's played for every club in the UK. Lafondra, I sense.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just maybe as a footballer, you want to look at different experiences, maybe an opportunity to go over to a country where it's great weather. You're probably thinking that too. Football will be okay. I can have a bit of longevity, possibly. You might have been offered a good contract. But yeah, I think with Joe Lolley, he's just an excitement machine. I'm so glad that he's getting his body right. He played in a position that was unfamiliar as the number 9. He said after that game in an interview, he hadn't played a number 9 role for over 10 years.
Yeah.
But
you'd never know, would you?
But no, he was great. That second goal that you talked about with that great delivery. But I watched his movement there. He sort of paused a little bit, and it was like a perfect number 9 run where he went at the back of the defender in between and met the ball perfectly. Could have had 4 goals. And we talked about Klamala actually being, when he comes back, who's going to go out into that wide position, because Costa and Lolley are very much similar in the delivery. But that makes an easy decision. I think that maybe possibly Douglas Costa is out for a little while, so Lolley's out in that wing. But it just shows a bit of versatility that he's got.
Yeah, and again, Sydney, I think that midfield as well, just supporting with Holman, Sekicic and Caceres, I thought they were brilliant. I think Holman is really sort of stepping up. He's had injuries and stuff, but now he sort of seems to have a run of games and really putting it on. Sekicic as well, doing well. So they have options, and it sounds like Klimala, he was close to being back for this one, but they just kept him. So he'll be back for the next one. As I said, it fits perfectly with Lolley slotting in on being that versatile.
Thomas, I haven't had your thoughts on Patrick Kisnorbo. I don't know how big news it was in Copenhagen.
You know what? It shut down the country for a few minutes. It's a weird one. Again, I know Patrick, and I know his passion, and he's always been loyal, sort of where he's been, and again, he must have felt that this was a big opportunity, but it takes a lot to leave a team. Who were looking so good, right? Yeah, and to have that, okay, I'm just going to jump ship, and it's a little bit unlike him, I would say, from what I have experienced. When he was captain when I first came here at Melbourne City, and
he never left you in the lurch, is what you're saying.
No, not that I remember. Maybe I have left him. Maybe I threw him a bit of a curveball from time to time, but again. You got to respect that somebody wants to chase an opportunity, but when you leave your club in a bit of a dire strait after that, even though they've got good players, it's a tough one.
I was speculating that, Steve Holland's been an assistant for basically his whole career, right? With Chelsea and England. So Kisnorbo's going, okay.
Is he a further step ahead?
I think. I mean, I don't know either of them, but I reckon you just go as an assistant. You say, well, if this works, it's great. But if it doesn't work, I'm here. Manager can go. I'm number one.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to plant the seed. I don't want to upset the two of them, but because they need to have a good working relationship. Don't listen to me, Steve and Patrick. You two, you focus on your own thing. I'm just in a room just saying things. But it's interesting. It's interesting for Steve Holland. It's interesting because he's been an assistant for so long.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what their relationship will be. Let's go to Cooper's Stadium. Adelaide 2 up in that game, Archie. I couldn't see any other result than Adelaide winning that game.
Yeah, and funny enough, I would have to say that for Adelaide, it wasn't probably their most slickest performance, and to still be 2-0 up, I thought that Western Sydney really came out and took it to Adelaide, which is something new because Adelaide always seem to go get on the front foot. 2-0 up, they did it again against Sydney FC the week before, 2-0 up. And then they throw away silly goals. I actually thought that third goal was maybe a goalkeeping error. I'm not sure, but Delinov did it last week. Again this week. And
he'd had a decent game.
Yes.
But I think it goes through him.
Yeah.
Bit hologrammy.
Again, on a better day, the first goal, the header, he sort of caught moving a little bit when Antonsen heads it. But it's one of them, that corner as well, where I think it was Aleague and Mork maybe at the back stick, and they get mixed up and it falls to Borello and they score. So it's just letting teams off the hook and letting them back into games. And to be fair to Western, Sydney, they just took advantage. Good to see Aleague getting his first goal.
What a cool story.
That is
lovely move actually.
Yeah. Great story, great finish as well in the top short corner. And,
Would you like your children to follow in your footsteps?
Some respects, yes.
No, you're not.
Some
respects. Parts of my life.
I was thinking in an elite sport context.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Well, just for people that don't know, Ethan Aleage's dad, Richie, is played NSL and A-League, and played for Adelaide United, of course. So it's a lovely story. The thing is, it's just before half time, isn't it? If you score to make it 2-1, that goal just changes the whole vibe of everything. I know people say good time to score, bad. I mean, most times are a good time to score. Yeah. Most times are a bad time to concede. But that just changes the whole feeling of that game, I think.
Yeah. As I said, I felt they could have dealt with the cross first of all, and then. Antonsen gets in a good position at the back post, but then, again, on another day, maybe Delinov saves it. It's just those small margins that, they're playing well. Archie Goodwin as well is in a good, good run of form with some goals, but they just can't get out of their own way, and that's what football is all about. You got to defend as well.
Let's talk about our mate Nakas Stajic getting. Do you know the thing about the sending off that I really liked was there's the guy that's saying, "You can't be here, Alan," and he's like.
Alan.
You know, he is Alan, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
But like,
Yeah. You can't be here, Alan.
Mr. Sassett.
Alan's like, okay, well, I'll go another yard here. And then the guy's like, sorry, you can't be here. And this guy goes, well, I go another yard here. And he goes, so you can't be here. And I don't know if the man who was telling him where he could or couldn't be knew where he could or couldn't be. Like in the meeting, you know, when all the stewards and the officials all meet, they go, now, if a manager gets sent off, they have to be 15 yards away. But I could watch that interaction between these two people forever, and I would be a happy man. Yeah, it's just so funny.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's like a bouncer trying to escort someone out that's done something wrong, and they look around and he's kind of just still standing there. And like, mate, I've asked you to leave, and then you go okay, and then before you know it, he's up the other end having a drink again.
Yeah, but he doesn't really. He's not like, you know, for the man with the lanyard, right? He's not really got that much conviction. Yeah. He's like, I just don't really want to tell Alan how far back he's got to go, but I guess I've got to say, you can't be here, Alan. And it's just really beautiful. It's sort of Larry David type, you know, like you couldn't really script it if a sitcom was trying to say, right, this is how I want you to move. Yeah. And then he looks around again and Alan's still there. Like, come on, Alan, do us a favour here, mate. Very, very funny. Yeah. The real shame is that, you know, Dylan Scicluna, who's down, and that and the idea was they thought maybe he was time wasting or whatever, and actually he's got a serious knee injury. He on Instagram said his season's over, which is a great shame. But, you know, I sometimes think about managers getting sent. There's always just, obviously they can't just abuse the fourth official, right? I get that. And being a fourth official must be a nightmare. But it's such a sort of pantomime of the ref who clearly hasn't seen anything. Do you know what I mean? That's the point, isn't it? It's like if one of your kids says the other one, you know, they hit me, and then you come in, you don't know what's happened. The ref has no idea because he's miles away going, oh, I'll just send you off because they said that. You know,
but I think, did he have a yellow card?
He had a yellow already, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, knackers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I spent some time at Stoke on the bench in my last season, and they had this sort of tag team, you know, with the assistant coach, like, because the manager purely didn't want to go to the fourth official all the time. So there was a sort of sending different people at different times just to even it out. But just abusing the fourth official all the time, that must be the hardest job. Just listen to these complaints all the time about... And
also,
can't do anything.
Yeah, if you're the fourth official, you're like, well, I didn't make that decision. I just stood here. I stood here to do the subs, mate. Anyway, it was very
That must be the worst role in any sport, that fourth official. Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Should we get AI to do it? But they should be. I mean, they should be allowed to just say, you know, they should be allowed to abuse them back, right? I mean, there is a genuine problem that managers like abuse officials way too much and talk about them way too much and deflect. And after a game, we'll say, well, you know, we've had this referee before, and he'll be disappointed. You're like, come on, like talk about all the mistakes your team made. But I should say, in terms of there's the big respect campaign in the UK. I'm sure it's the same here, right? Respect the referee. Yeah. And I was playing in an amateur game, and the ref was having an absolute nightmare. You know, one of those who just stayed in the centre circle the whole game. You know, and gets decisions, just sort of made it up. You know, like a twister wheel, free kick, blue, and you're like, I'm never rude, but I was like, come on, mate, that was, you know. And he just said, I read an interesting column in The Guardian you wrote about the respect campaign last week. I was like, fair enough. You know, you got me there, ref. Let's go to Central Coast. Auckland 1-4-1. I mean, the Jake Brimmer goal, the second goal, is a moment of such quality, isn't it?
And it's so great to see him back at his best, because he had that a year and a half ago when he was absolutely on fire for Melbourne victory, and then he sort of disappeared and lost his confidence. But you can see it's coming back now. You know, I think he more or less assisted the first goal where he clipped it over to De Vries, and then he lobbed it back in. You know, so that was a great pass as well. So you can just see he's starting to string some great performances together. Yeah, and that, Archie, you would have been happy with that goal.
Oh yeah, I mean, like he's the ball's coming at him quickly. He takes a touch, and it's kind of set up. So he must have already seen where the goalkeeper was, or he had a quick glance at it, and that delicate sort of outside of the foot to the far post. I mean, that's brilliant. And like you said, he did go through a bit of a rough spell, but I really like him in that position that he's in that 10 role. He just has a bit more freedom. He can get on the ball. He turns. He's great at passing the ball, and also, you know, scoring goals like that.
Yeah.
So I think if you got someone that can play him in a position that he loves to play, which I think is a 10 for me, he's incredible.
Because that happens so quickly, and yet to have that ability for sort of to be so calm and for time to sort of, for him, time is going slower, right? It's a sign of a really elite player, is that you can just see that. And it's almost, he just makes it look so easy. You say, why wouldn't anybody just kick the ball there? But like, it's obviously really hard to do that. And it just looked so effortless. That was a lovely moment. I did like, who was it? Guillaume May. I mean, obviously that's probably going to be an OG.
Yeah.
But like, should you, does
that
goal,
you talking
does that goal, he gets the same amount of goal for kicking it in from a centimetre as Jake Brimmer does for, I'm not trying to change the laws of the game.
It's all about the number on the sheet. Nobody remembers after the season. I think it didn't cross the line. I think he actually,
I think
he
got
credited for it.
Yeah, I think he got a toe. But that, I mean, you still, as a goal, striker, you still got to be alert. Even though that was rolling in, I probably would have let that roll in.
Would you?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
that would have never
There has
happened.
been times where I could have tapped in and I've let the ball just run over. I
a selfless guy.
Yeah, I don't.
You weren't
I
about the
get too-
numbers.
You're a good guy.
You weren't about the numbers.
You're
I'm just a good guy, you know. But yeah, that De Vries, I mean, really great goal for Auckland. They needed a response. I mean, and the way they showed it, I like that they put Sakai back onto the right fullback position. Because he just gives so much going forward, and they kind of sorted that central defence out with Tommy Smith coming in, Pinecker, because that's something that they've really tried to juggle with since Dan Hall has left and have just been conceding goals. So hopefully that for them is a good foundation, that they have a good partnership there. And I just thought they were, again, back to the strength. And for Central Coast, I mean, there was an interview after
So good, isn't it?
where Jackson was saying, hey, a few of the boys had too much pud and came back in the way that they shouldn't have. I don't know.
Do you think it was Christmas pudding or they're all steaming? I mean,
I don't know. He didn't say, and he didn't mention any names. But he was sort of, some are in the squad, some are not in the squad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I reckon they've had a few drinks. I think where they're probably,
because it was hot and it was afternoon. You can imagine playing with a hangover there. You'd be like, you'd turn up and you go, I hope. You know those Sunday League games where like people are just lying in the dressing room. They're just like there, and you just go, I hope someone else isn't. I hope someone's fine today because I just can't do it. And 20 minutes in, you're like, the sweat is pouring down. And you're like,
well, he was deliberately saying it was like the younger players, like they got to learn to be professionals, and he's absolutely right. You know, you got to respect. You are a professional football player. You're privileged. So they've got to learn. And he was quite harsh with saying, I've got to go out in January and I might need to get new players in. So he's definitely sent a warning sign.
It's funny because Christmas Day is sort of.
Come on, like you can't. Like if you're
But
professional,
no.
You can go and enjoy it and have a little bit. But you can't.
No. What I'm saying is Christmas Day. It's not like New Year's Eve if you're a teenager. If you're like 20, like Christmas Day is just you sit with the family, have a couple. I could understand on New Year's Day, going actually the younger ones, they've gone to I don't know the elite nightclubs of Central Coast. What were they called? Like Fez Club. I mean, whatever it is. I could understand them all going. Come on, let's have a quiet. Let's have a sneaky one. But Christmas Day is a bit. I'm surprised they were. Steaming on Christmas Day, but I'm here for it.
But is that what they were?
Needs a level.
That?
We don't know that, but we need a level playing field, which should be for Boxing Day games in the A-League. All players have to go out on a massive bender the day before. And they all have to send in like a video of them absolutely wasted the night before. And I bet you like crowds would be through the roof. They go like, look at this. We know Boxing Day, these guys are going to be. I was playing a game against this centre back who absolutely reeked of booze, like so bad, like you just didn't want to be near him. And then he threw up after about half an hour. And then and he was just like, it's just this. And he tried to say, this collar's really tight. Like, you have to lie to me, mate. It's all right. I just want to avoid you. Now you smell of booze and sick. Like, this is a terrible combination. Anyway, may they all be sober next weekend. Wellington Phoenix beat Newcastle Jets 2-1. Let's talk about Costa Barbarouses. What a goal that is.
That's a great bit of intuition. Obviously, I think Stan was out afterwards and said like they can't start like that. I think it's Natta who gives the ball a shocking pass.
It's his fault. It's not the keeper's fault. Is it Ryan Scott, right? Who does a really funny Superman dive.
I love that. I love that. Like great effort. Like afterwards, like I did everything I could.
What's he doing?
I've done a few of those where you just diving.
Just put a cape on.
And then he gets caught in the net as well.
Yeah, I like that bit.
But again, is it his 99th goal? I think so he's so close to the 100, and he'll surely get that this season. So, it's a quality player, and he's definitely, their best player and their sort of attacking strength. But you know what, for Newcastle, it's just one of them again where they just let themselves down. I think they've got enough, up front. I think some of the young players, Bayliss and. They're doing well and they're creating chances. They had, I think, 20 shots. Mate, so Alawiyemi had a great game and
he
goal.
did have a good game.
He had a really good game. He's made a couple of mistakes during the season, but in this one, he definitely saved them. And so Newcastle, it's just they're one of the bottom three teams, but they're the team where you think in every game you feel like they have something to offer. Just Eli Adams as well. They've got some attacking flair, but just in this one they let themselves down.
Yeah. Well, I think for Wellington it was almost like Wellington of last year, where Chiefy just sort of set him up in blocks, and it was like you're just going to have to try and break us down, and we're going to use the speed on the counter, which worked really well for them last year. And I feel like they were just desperate to get a win, and you could see that the way they set up, still like though. They've been pretty stubborn last year, and not many teams get opportunities. But the way they set up, I thought that Newcastle still had so many good chances to really score. Like you said, I thought Eli Adams, there was one break that he had an opportunity in the first half. The keeper makes a save. He had another one where there was great work on the wing, and the 6-yard box gets his feet all wrong.
Gibson had a couple of chances as well.
And young Gibson, he scored. I think that's his third goal in 2 games, which is great. And I think he's got a bit of New Zealand heritage. So I think he could be on the radar for them. But it was important for Wellington to get a good result coming off, results that haven't really gone their way.
And we have to, Paolo Retre.
Oh, my God.
What a hit, son. 6th goal in 199 games, but stayed hit, didn't it?
I remember he scored one in a Melbourne derby a long time ago. So he doesn't score many, but that was a proper pile driver.
Yeah.
At the edge of the box. And, again, the keeper can only pick that out because... and they needed it, as I said. So he's obviously moved over there, taking his chance. He didn't start the first sort of couple of games of the season, but he's coming into form, and he's a good player. He's at Sydney. He showed all the way through that he can be a really good A-League player. And
Chiefy does throw away his shirts when they lose. I don't know if you know that. So
say that again.
So Chiefy, the
manager,
he every time that he loses a game,
right.
I think the shirt that he's wearing, he throws away.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's environmentally not great.
Oh well, he might
what about the draw?
Salvos or something like that.
What does he do with the draw? Like, does he go back in the wardrobe? Or
he might wear it again and then see what happens. But I mean, it'd be good. It's good for him that they start winning games too. Because if he loses any more shirts, I mean, it's not good. But
is it a sort of ceremony? How does he? Because he could
sends it on like a little raft out to the water.
Exactly.
And shoots an arrow out. Fire.
As a violin, and
it's beautiful. Everyone sings the whole crowd have to sing "Abide with Me," and we watch the shirt raise out to the sky. It's a really nice. That's a good idea. Abide with me as this shirt. I'm here for it. Let's go to Perth. Do you know what? I thought they were a bit unlucky in this game. I mean, there are 2 ways of looking at it, I guess, Archie, which is one is MacArthur played them like a book. Just went, all right, you have the ball. Whatever. We know you're not going to score. And every time we get a chance, we'll score. But 3 shots on target, 3 goals for MacArthur, which is great efficiency. But I don't know. I felt for Perth in this game.
I totally agree with you. I actually thought that Perth were so much better than what they have been all year. And again, it was just really 3 mistakes.
Defenses,
like the ball over the top there.
I could see that run from Jed Drew from a cafe I was in Melbourne 2 days after the game happened.
There to the box there, attack, and obviously that's sometimes what happens. But it's again, I don't know. Like I heard this word from a manager, rest defense. Like,
Yes.
it came into the game
Yeah.
about halfway through my career, and I've heard it about a million times.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you always have more men. Make sure you're always covered, no matter what happens. And that's the situation where it just can't happen.
Oh, yeah.
And then he makes a sort of diving challenge
Yeah.
and misses the ball. You know, it's one of them. And, you know, you got to. They started well.
Yes.
And you know, Taggart had a chance, and then like David Williams. You know, I actually shared a room with him when he was at Melbourne City when I first came here, and such a great guy, family man. You know, he's been around, top professional, and you don't want to see that happen. And you know, hopefully, it sounds like he might be out for the season. You know,
Yeah.
so that's a big loss for them, especially with. You know, they've lost two of their visa players who've gone back,
Yes.
haven't been successes. So you need those players, experienced players, to do well, and you know that'll be a big miss for them.
Yeah.
And you're right. The first goal is, it's such an honest one. But the second one is
They get worse, though.
The second and third are just really just giving the ball away.
Yeah.
Transitions in that area of the pitch.
Oh, it was. I mean, like.
So I like the way we started this game. We all felt sorry for Perth. And then we spent 5 minutes saying they were garbage at the back.
But it was just in those moments, because the way they were moving the ball, it looked so much better. Like they actually had possession where they weren't just sitting back and absorbing a lot of pressure. As soon as they got the ball, they gave it away. There was real structure to it. But like again, that soft. It's always defensive stuff. I think it was, I can't remember which player stuck his leg out. The ball falls kindly again to Jed Drew, and he finishes lovely. But and the third goal again was a guy's trying to run out the ball from the 18-yard box. You know, and then you get caught, and he gets punished again. So these are mistakes that need to be fixed. But I've been really we've all been a bit dirty on Perth and the way that they're playing, but that was probably a better performance.
No, but at least you can see, you know, if they can cut those mistakes out, they can be competitive.
Yes.
And that's what you want to see. And, you know, but for, you know, you got to talk on like MacArthur and Jet Drew. I think he's had, you know, quietly he's having a fantastic season. Like, he's got 3 goals, 5 assists. He missed a couple of games. But yeah, you know, it's you know, they're just getting results. You know, they're I think 4th or something in the table, and you know that was a big win for them. Efficient in a different way. They didn't play fantastic, but you know got the goals.
Some really good games this week, and Western United Brisbane. Should we just have a moment's silence?
Come on.
No.
Come on.
No, another good result. That's what 3 wins in a row, is it for Western United?
Yeah. Well, I just have to say, I don't know. Watching that game,
Brisbane.
it's that stadium or that field looks like a nightmare to play, because I don't know if the wind ever changes there, because it always seems, if you're watching it from the TV sort of, but the wind is blowing to the left side and they just can't seem, I don't think teams seem to get that right. Like
No.
Wind is the worst, let's be real, the worst condition to play football in.
Exactly.
Sleet, rain, hail, all fine.
Yes.
But wind is just...
And if you're a team that like want to use the speed or especially from your wide areas, you got to be perfect with the ball. And every time any of those teams played a ball in behind, it just seemed to get away. But I think Jelacic had a great chance in the first half that could have maybe changed the dynamics of the
Is that
game.
the one that's good save from something?
Yes.
Yeah.
But really, he should have...
Point blank range, right?
he should have done better with that, I thought, in that sort of position. But Matt Sutton, I mean...
Matt Sutton,
he's been incredible
you know,
too.
when you think about, like, he obviously he was second string for a long time at Melbourne City. You know, he's gone there and has really stepped it up. And they've had some clean sheets, and he's been a big part of that. I think in this game, he had 3 or 4. So like we could talk about Olamiemi, like won it more or less for Wellington. I think he won it for Western United in this one. And Brisbane, you know, they play well. In this one they had so many chances. As you said, Jelacic, Waddingham had chances. And just the finishing, I think Halloran had one where he was playing in the box and he shot it over the bar. Maybe that's the wind that you were talking about, where it gets a little bit unpredictable. But you know they are in that position because they're wasteful. You know that's why they're down there. You know for Western United, Iwasuki, another goal from the penalty spot.
What did you think about that? Pen?
For me, he sort of just stands his ground.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of like a body check. He runs into him. He makes a meal of it. Like it's like he's been elbowed in the face, and he falls to the ground, and the referee goes with it. You know, for me, as a defender, he's just using his body.
Here's an idea, chaps. Okay, because we have a lot of power on this show. I think there are too many penalties in football. Right, not just in the A-League, just across the world, too many penalties, especially for handball. But in this situation, the punishment of a penalty is too big for the crime of just standing where you are, right? Yeah. So is it a foul? Oh, it's really marginal. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Why don't we're going to change the laws of football, okay? You only get a penalty if you're denying a goal-scoring opportunity. So in that situation, you give a free kick. Free kicks inside the box are so great because they're chaos. Because everyone's there, there's 20 players on the line, it's total mayhem. And the chance of scoring is slim, right? Western United do not deserve an 80% chance of a goal from that moment. That's how I feel. Yeah. Now, obviously, if you ever suggest changing the rules of football, people yell at you as if you're a psychopath. And you've killed their whole family. And I haven't. I'm just saying there are too many penalties. Yeah. Here is an example where you just say, it's a free kick. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're right, I guess, too. Like, if you're a defender and you're pushing the player away from goal and it's right, like, on the sort of goal line in the corner of the 18-yard box and you clip him and he goes down, it's a penalty. I think, that's... Because you're not really...
It might be a little...
It's a great idea. It opens then another can of worms of what is a goal scoring and when is it and like
which player? If Messi's in that position, is that a goal scoring opportunity?
Then we'll get more VAR and
there's always judgment somewhere.
Yeah, I think the romantic thought of it actually, I like it, but I think I don't think practically it's going to work, but hey.
Yeah, I'm not on great terms with IFAB or Gianni. I don't think. So maybe it won't happen. But I do think I agree with you. I think it's a really soft one. And there's so many advantages for the attacker. Defenders have to have their arms behind their back.
That's what football wants, though.
Is it? I don't think a defender should have his arms behind his back.
I think the lawmakers and they want to see goals and attacking.
I think the lawmakers want that. They just want it to all be all about them. But read my article on the Respect campaign.
Infantino want everything about him. That's for sure.
No, what they want is they want this idea of perfection, and football isn't perfection.
No. Yeah, you're right. That's it. End the show.
Finally, shut these two people up. What a blessed relief. Thomas Waddingham, rumours of Middlesbrough, Sheffield Wednesday. I know we talked to him as the next Mark Viduka, and Middlesbrough have gone, okay, well, he was good for us, so let's get this
They heard that. Yeah. And Archie, so you...
You can see he's got talent. There was one move where he just took the ball down and moved. You just thought he's got the raw materials there to be a great player, but he is not going to walk into the Sheffield Wednesday or Middlesbrough team.
No, not with... What I've seen, but it could be the team that he's playing with. Like maybe it's just that they're not giving him enough chances or opportunities, and the ones that he has managed to get, and he's done well with it. Like you said, that I think it was the one that he got on the top of the 18-yard box. He takes a touch and takes another little touch. In that position, I would probably go high up into the net, but he's got a great strike away. I just don't know. Like I haven't seen. There is glimpses, but I haven't seen enough. Maybe it might be that he needs to be in a better team to bring that out.
Yeah, for sure. I think it might be too early, but I think that the great thing is that it's been talked about. Like we're talking about it, that clubs around Europe are starting to look at, obviously you've got the Eric Kunda who's already gone on over there and now, that's what the A-League needs and that will also lift the respectability and from around the world. It's a good league, it's a development league, but there is talent coming out, and time will tell if he will be good enough or if he'll get the opportunity. But I think it's only great.
Sure, there's so many unknowns, aren't there? Because maybe it's, if you're young and you fearless and you go and it's a success, so you just don't know. And then we sort of make our decision after the event, right? To go, actually, it's the perfect time for him or not. But January will be interesting to see which players. Because there are a couple that are leaving that we know about, and what will happen to these squads, and it's a difficult time to invest, right? It's a difficult time to get good players.
And you're right. It might be just that Waddingham needs just a different environment, and an environment where you've got not saying that Brisbane haven't got great players, but in a team that's got really, really professional
and training every day,
good,
but
good
if you look at
coaches.
Victory or City or Sydney or surely they'll be looking at that going forward and again hopefully he has some good advisors that can and they know him and know what's best for him. I think that's the main thing, and then he keeps working on his game.
We're all off out on a New Year's Eve Central Coast Mariners session, and we're going with the squad as well. So that's good news for Mark Jackson. He's going away. We're actually going to. We'll just have a massive tear up, and because actually sometimes you can, if you all, it could be a bonding experience, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I won't lie. I'll be in bed by 7. So actually, it'd be great advice.
We'll be carrying the players.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, the best thing for Central Coast would be just to like hang out with me because once we put young Ian down, you've got to stay quiet. And maybe we'll watch one episode of The Bear, maybe. And then everyone in bed, lights out by 9. Okay. Thanks, chaps.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Australia. We'll be back next week.